So, I discovered Sunset Overdrive while perusing Insomniac's kick-ass game library. If someone had told me years ago there was an R-rated Ratchet & Clank with Tony Hawk-style movement, I'd have been all over that like a weeaboo over a body pillow. So why have I never heard of it? Well, it turns out that upon its ill-timed release in fall 2014, the game was quickly overshadowed by behemoths like Shadow of Mordor, the Master Chief Collection, and Destiny. Which is pretty much as if you released your indie film against Avatar, Force Awakens, and Endgame in the same weekend. But having played the game, I'm not so sure people would be salivating over it were it not viewed through rose-colored glasses as this underappreciated gem. I'll get into why soon. First, let's look at the story. So the plot involves an evil energy drink corporation that quarantines Sunset City after accidentally transforming its denizens into horrific mutants, heralding the coming of the Awesome Apocalypse. This game really enjoys the word awesome. Awesome! You play as a slacker janitor turned unlikely hero. I was initially worried when I saw the character model Insomniac marketed their game with.
Bruh, look at this dude, look at his hair.
Thank God you can fully customize your character's appearance. Although in fairness, I might have made my guy look like an even bigger douche. The core gameplay is fun. This game is a third-person action-adventure shooter that could best be described as Ratchet & Clank meets Jet Set Radio, in the sense that you've got an arsenal of wacky weapons coupled with hyper-agile parkour traversal. The combat mainly consists of racking up style points as you murder hordes of energy drink zombie monsters and evil corporate robots. I'd be lying if I said shattering a dozen enemies into a million fragments after freezing them doesn't feel cool. There's also something oddly satisfying about the way some enemies just pop like a ripe pimple into a pool of orange entrails. You need to be constantly playing the floor as lava during combat, grinding rails and switching weapons as you maneuver your way around to keep your style meter up, while simultaneously turning enemies into jello pudding. It's engaging. It can't not be. If you stop moving, you're dead. This can be a little disorienting at first, but once you get into the groove of things and the punk rock soundtrack amps up, I gotta tell you, it feels just right. The traversal mechanics are also great. It felt awkward as hell the first time I bounced 30 feet in the air off objects like trees. But once you embrace the game world as a giant bouncy castle, and get the hang of it, you'll be gleefully running on walls, grinding on phone lines, and defying the natural order, as any good video game should. There's some good weapon variety here, and while it doesn't reach Ratchet & Clank levels of novelty, it's still fine. My favorites were the flame compensator that would incinerate enemies, and the acid sprinkler which left bad guys like... The game as a whole, visually, is just nice to look at. The comic book onomatopoeia aesthetic and vibrant colors are pleasing to the eye, and the carnage that ensues when you have 60 plus enemies on screen at once is undeniably impressive. Collectibles in this game can be traded in for amps, which upgrade and improve your weapons. I never felt incentivized to seek out these collectibles, though, because amps have little value in my eyes. There's too many of them, and too many types, to the point that it makes it hard to care. If you want to shoot icicles out of your bat, there's an amp for that. If you want the announcer to yell "Boom shakalaka" and announce your awesomeness, there's an amp for that. If you want the protagonist to die of asphyxiation from excessive inhaling of his own farts, sadly, there's no amp for that. Which brings me to the most common complaint I've encountered. Namely, that the writing isn't everyone's cup of tea. It's a self-aware comedy game whose jokes rarely land. Science, bitch! Sunset Overdrive prides itself on its lols random quirkiness and fourth wall breaking.
You sure you don't need something? I mean, there's a spinny icon above your head and it's really compelling.
Yes! Looks like I just took out the trash. Wait, I got another one. What a waste of waste! No, I can do better than that. That was just a bunch of rubbish? No, too British.
To say it's completely devoid of comedy, though, is uncharitable. Funny writing in video games is quite rare. Your Stick of Truths and Conker's Bad Fur Days are the cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop.
It's just best to keep one's expectations low. That's what I did, and I enjoyed the humor. I will concede, though, that despite being an anti-corporate punk, the main character sounds exactly like what a room full of suits would imagine kids sound like these days.
How do you do, fellow kids?
I'm giving Sunset Overdrive an awesome 7.9. So, I've been thinking of spicing up this review channel with a gaming tier list, and here it is. So let's just stamp Sunset Overdrive up on this board here, and there you go. It's going in my C tier. It's a unique shooter with a cool mishmash of gameplay styles, and I had a lot of fun playing it. If you can get past the occasionally cringy writing and a few fetch quests, you're in for a good time.
It's a f***ing video game.